What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. And I wanted to revisit this entire Cleopatra situation. It's kind of going viral now. A lot of people are discussing it. A lot of you guys might have found my channel from this last video that I made, which you haven't seen it. I'll go ahead and link above. But this gentleman right here, this comedian, Bassem Youssef, he has some points that he wants to make about how he feels in regards to the Cleopatra documentary that Netflix is putting out there, in which they have blackwashed Cleopatra into a black woman, which, anybody that has read any kind of history knows that Cleopatra was not a black woman, okay? She's Macedonian. She came from Greece, what we now call today as Greece, okay? That's where she's from. And there's been a lot of controversy over blackwashing, period. You guys know my opinions of that, okay? I say get as close to the original characters, whether they're characters or real life people, get as close to those people as possible if you're going to do anything Hollywood, if you're going to put it out there for movies, televisions, it doesn't matter, okay? Get as close as you can to what the original look of the actual person was, or in the case of fictional characters, okay, what the original writer or creator said, oh, this is what this individual looks like, okay? I don't see why that should be problematic for Hollywood. There's millions of actors all over the world that would love to play various types of parts. They should always be able to nail the look and the authenticity as close as they can to the original or to the actor or to the role that that person is playing. But let's go ahead and hear what Bassem Youssef has to say. And he's also talking to this person, Ernest Owens. And I'm going to respond to both of these because they both make some kind of interesting points that I wanted to respond to.
Now, the problem for me, it's not about color. It's not about white and black. This is a very reductive way to talk about things. This is the way that Americans talk about it. I'm that in 1956, they cast John Wayne as Genghis Khan. So this is a time where Hollywood didn't know any better. Now, the problem for me, it's not about color. It's not about white and black. This is a very reductive way to talk about things. This is the way that Americans talk about it. I'm very sorry. Like, I come from Egypt. Egypt has a very diverse color palette. People can look like me or they can look deeper skin tone like Anwar Sadat, who comes from a Nubian origin. It's not about black and white. It's about the continuous culture appropriation and falsification of history that has been done by what the so-called Afrocentrist movement.
Now, I call it cultural vandalism, okay? Like when you're jumping into somebody else's culture and you're just kind of messing around with it, all right? It's not your culture. It's someone else's culture, okay? It's like similar to walking into somebody else's house, right? And let's see. Ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. Let's Avatar. Can you imagine that? Right? Somebody just waltzing their ass up into your house and just start rearranging everything, right? Oh, no, it looks better this way. Bro, get the fuck out of my house, okay? That's basically what Egypt is saying right now. Stop coming over here rearranging the deck chairs, okay? You don't have the right to do that, okay? Absolutely ridiculous.
The Afrocentric movement started the last century as a way, in a good intention, to teach African American about their rich history of West Africa, the great empire of Benin, of Ghana, of Songhali, the great empire of Mali. But the thing is, that's why you find people like Kevin Hart, who subscribes to these theories, who claim that his ancestors built the pyramids. I'm sorry, your ancestors had their own wonderful civilization in West Africa. They are culture appropriating my culture, calling the people of Egypt of today, despite their skin tone, that they call us as invaders, they call us as intruders, and they are being erased from our own history.
Okay, so you see what he's saying here, basically, right? This is why it's important, okay, to have these conversations in regards to media, in regards to entertainment and how it affects culture, okay? Because you just heard him say, like, you guys are just erasing us right out of our own history, okay, at this point. Kevin Hart is now under the impression that it wasn't Egyptians that built the pyramids, it was black people that built the pyramids because of the kind of nonsense that gets shown on television and people discuss on all of that. Like, no, bro, slow down, okay? Let's take real history and let's take a look at that. And then let's see what lessons we can learn from that. This message of entertainment, okay, or Hollywood in culture, okay, and how shaping Hollywood, shaping entertainment, shapes culture, shapes people's minds. You know, you got to think like the culture of a nation or of a people can come from various aspects. It can come from religion, okay? It could come from historical events. It can also come from the entertainment sphere, okay? Your dance, your music, as well as your storytelling, okay? The types of stories that are told are directly related to the culture, the values that people in that culture carry forward. What he's pretty much saying is we are seeing a retelling of historical information. This stuff is important. History matters, okay? You can't just go out there and just do whatever you want to do with history. History is important. He said it. We are being erased from our own history. Okay, that is irresponsible. That is cultural vandalism. And eventually what's going to happen, right? You're going to have history being rewritten, right? To suit someone's agenda, someone's personal beliefs, right? Be it a racial agenda or whatever, okay? A progressive agenda. It doesn't matter. Instead of just letting history be history, okay? And we can learn from history, however bad it may be, okay? Good or bad. We can all learn a little bit from somebody else's history, from our own history, okay? Which is one of the reasons why I feel we should be telling the history. Like this guy said, you have a rich history of West Africa. Tell that, okay? Cast all your actors and everybody. A black actor should be excited about that. We are finally at a time in Hollywood where we could tell any story that's out there. And yet what we want to do, oh, well, let's race swap Cleopatra. We don't want to tell those stories. We want to tell this story and we want to insert ourselves into it for whatever reason, okay? A lot of y'all are already saying, well, they've been doing that to black culture for years, okay? They've been doing that to us for years. And what's your point, all right? It's wrong either way, all right? Two wrongs do not make a right. Okay, I seen y'all saying that in the comments. Two wrongs do not make a right. We learned that in the 3rd grade. All right. Why are we having this conversation as adults? Okay, lose that argument. All right, that argument don't work over here. Now we're gonna skip ahead a little bit in this interview because the rest of it is talking about like nationalism and all that kind of stuff. It's not really what I want to discuss. There's another point that Piers asked. He asked this question to the guy there on the right, Ernest Owens, who's the author. Okay, he asked a question and that kind of goes into stuff that I've already seen discussed on my own channel.
Okay, I disagree. Hang on, Ernest. Let me ask you a question, Ernest, which is how would you feel if a white actor was chosen to play Nelson Mandela?
I think that there is historical inaccuracies there. I think that, I think what he's confusing is race and nationality. And I also think that that is why you don't see as many black actors upset as Cynthia Erivo, who is British, who played, Harriet, because we understand the nuances of racial identity compared to nationality versus the identity of the African diaspora.
And what this person is talking about, just real quick, is about the actress Cynthia Erivo, I think. She played Harriet in the Harriet Tubman movie that came out like a couple of years ago. All right, Harriet. She's a British woman, okay? She's a British woman. She's not from America. Nevertheless, she could play an American character because, again, the most important thing about, and not the most important thing, but one of the most important things about, nailing a part is that you look the part, especially when you're talking about a historical character, okay? An historical character that, looks like Harriet Tubman would have looked. That's what we would expect, okay? It doesn't matter necessarily where this person comes from. And as he says, the African diaspora, it's like, oh, they could come from anywhere in Africa or anywhere across the globe. I don't actually disagree with that, okay? As long as they can look the part and then, pull off all the proper voice work, okay, to make sure that you have an accent that sounds appropriate or whatever. Like if Harriet Tubman shows up with a British accent, people would have been like, wait a minute, what's going on here? All right? It's the dodgeball. I hate people that argue like this. It's disingenuous dodgeball, okay? Why don't you go ahead and discuss what we're talking about? Let's talk about what we're talking about instead of trying to, let's divert and talk about this and talk about that. And they're about to get to this other point, which absolutely pisses me off.
So no one's upset about the fact that David Oyelowo played MLK. There may be some people, but others didn't because we understood the nuance of racial identity. So when we're talking about race and nationality, those are two different things. But I think the issue that I want to push back on what he said earlier is that there are other actors in this film that are playing Egyptians that do not look like Cleopatra or come from there. And I just feel like the energy being focused on Cleopatra is why some people are pushing back, because this actress could easily look, by identity, looks closer to what Cleopatra could look like. But the rest of that cast is fairly white.
And you guys will remember, like, this other clown on the video that I did on this earlier made this same argument, right? Oh, you guys aren't making a big deal about the rest of the cast, right? The rest of the cast is white, or the rest of the cast isn't, you know, historically accurate. Okay, but it's about Cleopatra, all right? The documentary is not about these background characters. It's about Cleopatra, okay? I mean, the background characters, don't get me wrong, that's important, but it's not as important as the titular character, okay? The actual person we're talking about, the historical titular individual that we're making the stupid movie about. Why do people make these disingenuous arguments? Yes, the focus is going to be on Cleopatra. Sorry, not sorry, okay? Yeah, we're going to talk about Cleo before we talk about these background guys. And then maybe if they had got the Cleopatra right, okay? Maybe if Cleopatra was right, okay, now you got an argument to talk about these other cats in the background, all right? But we're first going to start with the name of the person who's on the damn movie. The person's name is on the movie, Cleopatra. Who is that? Oh, that ain't Cleopatra. Okay, we got to start there before we get to all of this other stuff, all right? And you're not going to sit up here and deflect and dodge, again, this disingenuous crap. You're not going to deflect and dodge from the point at hand, all right? With these silly fake arguments, okay? Because you know what the argument has been. You're taking this major historical figure and you're race swapping them. All of these other cats in the background, we don't even know who they are. Are their names on the poster? All right? Absolutely disingenuous. I cannot stand this crap.
And you're not saying anything about those individuals. You're only focused on Cleopatra, who's being played by this black actress. But when you look at the other cast, I don't think they're all Egyptian. I don't think they all represent the cast.
I mean, this is why we can't get ahead. Okay, we got people coming on Piers Morgan, all right? Coming on Piers Morgan, making dumb claims, making stupid arguments, okay? Piers, bring better people on, all right? That can actually argue against this guy's point by sticking to the point and not talk, well, let's talk about the background characters. How come they're not all, you know, racially and, you know, historically accurate? We got to talk about all of these other people. What about Cleopatra, whose name is on the fucking poster? Why don't we talk about that? Huh? Oh, we can't do that. No, I don't want to discuss that, okay? I want to deflect and talk about everything else instead of the topic at hand, okay? And that's the problem again. We can't have these discussions. Just make Cleopatra, right, the historical figure that we're discussing, make Cleopatra appropriate, all right? And then, listen, I guarantee you, people will kind of gloss over the rest. There'll be some that will actually nitpick on all of that stuff, like I was saying earlier. But for the most part, people will just kind of gloss over the rest. All right, hey, you know what? They got a white dude to play a soldier that's probably not going to be historically accurate, whatever. They get a black dude that played a soldier, probably not historically accurate, okay? Like I said in the previous video, there will be degrees of inaccuracy, okay? The goal is to get as close as possible, all right? We understand that you may not be able to picture perfectly cast everybody, but you should at least get the main characters right, all right? The main historical figure in this case, Cleopatra. Get her as close as possible, all right? Knock the rest of this crap off. Anyway, folks, I don't know what you guys thought about that. It's probably going to be my last time discussing it, but I just wanted to, again, touch on some of the dumb arguments that come from these people, all right? It's disingenuous slop, all right? Talk about what we're talking about. Quit trying to divert attention somewhere else. Oh, let's talk about these other guys over. No. Get back on target, okay? And quit vandalizing somebody else's culture, all right? It's absolutely ridiculous. I got to go fix my setup. Anyway, you guys let me know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for watching. See you next time.